right, so I thought I'd just do a quick update this morning on a couple of these changes I made yesterday. Yesterday, I just kind of threw it together and I had to tweak it a little bit. So, the main reason for the changes is this thing, the Equilux from John Kay. Uh, and then let me just illustrate what it's doing to the sound here. So, this is a Pultec. Well, it's a clone of a clone. So, Spaceman Audio did an Equinox Pultec style EQ, which if you dig back on my channel, I had one for a while. It was bigger than this thing, so I ended up getting rid of it just for the real estate purposes. I saw this thing, I was real excited to get it, and I think maybe I'm just used to using it now, but I was able to dial in the sound I want right away with it. So I just want to illustrate what it's doing. So I have my compression on right now. And I'll talk about what I did different with the GT1000 core here and why I added it back in. But I just want to just illustrate the sound I'm getting and what this Pultec style EQ does. Just does that real nice, I don't know what do you call it, like that smoothing thing that a Pultec EQ kind of does. Just everything good is in there. Works great with my Overdrive 2, which the other thing I did yesterday, I didn't really set this up to feature it, but the Mustang GT, I went inside the dip switches or the trim pot on the inside and dialed it in the way I wanted to use it as an overdrive. Since I've got the Fairfax now, I'm not using it to push anymore. I'm using it as an overdrive, and that's going to be this. I'm going to mute the mic here. Also stacks with my fuzz. So that's just a couple random settings with the tone and volume. So the other thing I did to accommodate this is I added back in the GT1000 core. Now, part of the reason I did it is I had an extra 20 feet of cable just for my volume pedal before. Here I have an expression I can use on it. So eliminated that 20 feet of cable, and it gave me all of these internal routing options. So what I did, there's two things I did on here. First off, I added it gives me multi-effects. So I added the Univibe. Now, the one I did last night, this setup is different because one thing you can do, and I think you can see it here, what I'm pointing to is you can do, you can break the signal path into left and right. So instead of just having that all throb, I split it to a dual path. So I'm sending the direct signal as well as the affected signal downstream, which means I can control, I can keep the depth setting high, but I can blend in how much clean tone I want. I've got it connected to tap tempo here, and then this is just on off for that effect, which is something very easy and nice to do in the GT1000 core. Now the other thing you see here where I'm splitting the signal again, so what I'm doing is I'm going out the send to my trio. So this split, I've got an amp simulation here, I've got a cab sim or a mic sim, and then I'm sending it out to the wet side of my effects. So this is sending the signal to the wet side of my effects. There's a multitude of other things that this thing can do. I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff here that I'm not even using right now. But in any case, the options are there if I have it. And the Air D, the Boss amp sims on here are better than the captured or the modeled amp sims. So I'm using the natural, I believe. Yeah, the natural. Because you can dial in sag and resonance and the whole deal. But I just wanted to do a quick update of a couple of those changes because they worked out really good. And obviously you've just been hearing my dry signal, but I'm going to do a jam here and get all my effects on so you can hear everything. So I'm a little more dialed in this morning. I think I'm really benefiting from sending that natural uh, amp simulation through the Zoya because it's full range, much fuller range signal. And then the AC15 is still coming through the power load IR. So I kind of am able to, preserve that nice full. They're just loops, by the way. That's not synth sounds. That's my loops getting sequenced to different octaves. But it just turns it right into an analog synth sound to me, or an electric piano or something like that. It just works really nice. And this kind of the Equilux or any Pultec style EQ, I think, is going to give it that kind of what I call that in search of sound, that 70s, square wave. It's just the only descriptive I have for it is that it's the in search of sound. It's that old school analog sound, and that Pultec thing kind of has a certain way of smoothing stuff out really nice. So I highly recommend you try something like that. But more than maybe the effects chain here, I think I'm benefiting from the ability to send the signal where I want it in the way in which I want to use it, rather than just pumping everything through a bottleneck, and then hoping it comes out the other side sounding okay. I'm really able to manipulate every aspect of the sound I want. And I think, well, let's hope this recording reflects that, especially getting that Univibe dialed in a little more yesterday. It was a little too throbby for me, but let's listen back, see what we get.